Just moving on to the next section then, the process advisor. So this is fairly new into Power Automate and quite an interesting bit of technology. Really what this is doing for you is it will help you find opportunities that make sense to use Power Automate. Now, it works in conjunction with Power Automate Desktop as well. So if you've got people who are just carrying on with their usual tasks, they can start to use Power Automate Desktop to figure out how it could help them to automate some of the tasks that they would normally do. So what it does is it carries out kind of process mining, and it, as I say, it links up with Power Automate Desktop to record the kind of standard tasks. So there's five sections really for it, so 5 kind of main stages to it. So the first thing that you would do is you would set up a new process to help identify any opportunities for the improvement. So you would then invite colleagues or other people in your team or other areas of the business to record that task. So if you think maybe something like, using the previous example, invoice processing, you've said, right, I want to have a look at this invoice processing task because I think we could do it better. So you would go in and create a new process, and then you would invite other people in your team to say, we're going to review the invoice processing task. Those people would then record their session as well. So with Power Automate Desktop open, they would record their session and they would be able to click through and do the activities they need to do. And what's happening behind the scenes is it will record all those tasks. Once you've got all those recorded, you move on to the next stage, the edit stage. So you can go in and remove any sensitive information from those task recordings. So the kind of specifics of all those recordings, you can take away the kind of, the values. So effectively saying, I put a variable in here, I put a value into this system, but you don't need to know what that value is because in the particular example I recorded, it was a customer's name and I don't want the customer's name to be in there. So you can take that sensitive information out of the recordings. You then go through that step 4, which is the analyze. So then you're looking at a process map and you're able to kind of generate the actions and the insights out of it that will help you then move on to kind of stage 5, which gives you the kind of guided recommendations for how to automate it in Power Automate and how to set up a Power Automate flow to automate that. So we'll have a wee look at some of that just now. So how we look at the process advisor. So we've got that within here. So within the Power Automate screen, we've got the process advisor here. We can go and create a new process, but we've got the list of processes here, and we can see that Thomas has previously created this kind of Contoso invoicing process. So if we click into here, we can see that we've got the ability to create a new recording for this process. We've got the analytics for the process. We can share it with other people so that they can do a recording themselves, or we can delete the process as well. And then what we've got is, similar to the flows, we've got the kind of description, who owns it, when it was created, what kind of status it's in, when it was modified, and when the recordings were analysed as well. And then who's that shared with? So we've got some co-owners in here, and then you could have some contributors to here as well. And then below here, we've got a list of the recordings with the dates and the times, and we can kind of click into a recording here, and we can see the actual detail of, what has happened. So, when Thomas did the recording here, he created a new record, and then he went into Excel, and then he went into the legacy invoicing application again, and then it was back in Excel and back towards it, and just going through the various different stages that carry out the task. So if we come back here, then what we can do is we can have a look at the analytics. And this takes a wee while just to load up. just going away and having a look at the recordings that are made and pulling the data out of there. And then this will give you some stats about what the process that you're trying to record and what the process looks like. So again, you can see here that we've done 4 recordings. You can see that there was 2 different kind of variants between the process. So it followed the same line the majority of time, but there was two slight differences to it. You can see that it took 51 seconds was the average time to kind of carry out the process from start to finish. And then you can split on these so that you can see. So if you click on these, you'll filter the report to see, you know, how many times did you add the contact. So this one, you know, was really done as a bit of a demo to kind of show you the graphic and show you some of the parts in there. But you could see how if you had a process that actually had, you know, if the value is this, then I do this, or if the value is that, then I do something else. If those kind of rules that are in people's heads, if you like, are in the process, then you could see how that the graphic would show the split of that, and you would see lots of different process variants, and that would start to give you an idea as to whether, you know, is the process being followed like consistently all the time by everyone who's doing it, or do we have different people doing different things? And if we do have different people doing different things, then is that valid? You know, are they following the correct business rules, or are they doing something else just because, you know, over time and through learning, they think that's what they should be doing? So it can help you kind of just analyze the process and help just to kind of standardize it again. So the graphic is quite good, but so are the elements on the right hand side here, just splitting down, being able to look at specific recordings as well and look at the time taken by different people when they recorded. So you can see here, you know, we started the process, you know, 100% came down this route. As more people record a session, then the lines will be thicker. So that shows you how many people came down the process line. So you can see we created a new record there. That took 9.75 seconds. And then we went down to add the name, and that took 5.5 seconds. And then went down and we added a contact, and that also took us 5.5 seconds. So split all the way down to the end of the process. And then what you can do is you can move on to the application, and you can see as you went through the process, how were people splitting up their use of the different applications within the process. So how long did they spend, for example, you know, within Chrome to do the currency conversion? How long did they spend within Excel trying to figure out, you know, what invoice lines were there, and how long did they spend on the kind of legacy invoicing application as well? So you can see how that's a really useful tool to start to understand the processes and understand how you can look and break down and automate the correct bits of the process and standardize the right parts of the process.